You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
The options market can be a confusing place. Sorting through the daily avalanche of data, alerts, updates, articles, and analysis to find the most important information is an overwhelming prospect. But now you have help. Welcome to the Options News Rundown, the only program that breaks through the noise to bring you the most important news and information from the world of options. Every day we bring you the top 5 option stories curated by the options experts at theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for free options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in option trader education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's live Advantage group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider. And now it's time to break through the noise. It's time for your Options News Rundown.
Good morning. Today is April 24th, 2018. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Our first story today is from investing.com. It's the top 5 things to know in the market on Tuesday. First thing to know is U.S. stock futures point to a rebound. U.S. stock futures pointed to a higher open, with the Dow set to snap a 4-day losing streak as investors looked ahead to the latest deluge of corporate earnings. The blue chip Dow futures rose 100 points or 0.4%. The S&P 500 futures added 12 points or nearly 0.5%, while the tech-heavy NASDAQ 100 futures climbed 36 points or roughly 0.6%. The second thing to know is blue chip earnings are in focus. The busy week for corporate earnings kicked into higher gear today, with a number of blue chips reporting earnings this morning, including Coca-Cola, Caterpillar, 3M, Travelers, United Technologies, and Verizon. The third thing to know today is the dollar stands tall near 1.5-month highs. The dollar rose to a fresh 1.5-month high against a basket of major currencies in early action, supported by expectations that the Federal Reserve would raise interest rates 3 more times in 2018. The U.S. dollar index, which measures the greenback strength against the basket of 6 major currencies, was a shade higher at 90.72 after hitting an overnight peak of 90.85, the strongest level since March 1st. The fourth thing to know today is U.S. 10-year Treasury yields are inches away from the 3% mark. U.S. Treasury yields halted their recent March higher, with the benchmark 10-year note inching away from the psychologically important 3% threshold. It was last at 2.964, down 0.9 basis points, or 0.3%, after reaching an intraday peak of 2.998% on Monday, a level not seen since January of 2014. The 10-year has not been above 3%, the point at which strategists and fund managers say equities will really hurt, since early 2014. And the fifth thing to note today is oil holds near recent highs ahead of API supply data. Crude prices held near their strongest level in 3 years as investors looked ahead to fresh data on the U.S. commercial crude inventories to gauge the strength of demand in the world's largest oil consumer and how fast output levels will continue to rise. The industry group, the American Petroleum Institute, is due to release its weekly report at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Our second story today is from CNBC.com. Coca-Cola beats expectations on top and bottom line as Diet Coke returns to growth. Coca-Cola reported quarterly earnings and revenue that beat analysts' expectations on Tuesday, as a relaunch of its classic Diet Coke drink, as well as an expansion of newer brands help drive sales. Big food companies have lost share to upstart brands and have struggled to adapt to a move away from sugary soft drinks. Coke, though, has launched new versions of its classic drinks. In the latest quarter, it launched Diet Coke drinks in sleeker bottles and new flavors like Feisty Cherry. The launch helped bring Diet Coke back to positive volume growth in North America. Meantime, following its acquisition of Topo Chico, a sparkling water drink that competes with millennial favorite LaCroix, Coke this quarter reported more than 30% growth in North America for the drink in U.S. retail value. Our third story today is from agriculture.com. In the grains, corn ticks higher as USDA confirms planting delays. U.S. corn futures edged higher on Tuesday, extending gains into a second consecutive session, as the U.S. Department of Agriculture said planting was lagging behind market expectations after recent adverse weather. As for the fundamentals, the most active corn futures on the Chicago Board of Trade were up 0.1% at $3.7075, having gained 0.5% in the previous session. The most active soybean futures were down 0.1% to $10.31 a bushel, having closed down 0.8% on Monday when prices hit a low of $10.29 a bushel, the lowest since April 6th. Our final story today is maybe our most important story of the day from investing.com. World wine output falls to 60-year low. Global wine output fell to its lowest level in 60 years in 2017 due to poor weather conditions in the European Union that slashed production in the bloc, International Wine Organization, OIV, said. Wine production totaled 250 million hectoliters last year, down 8.6% from 2016, data from the Paris-based International Organization of Vine and Wine, OIV, released on Tuesday, showed. It's the lowest level since 1957, when it had fallen to 173.8 million hectoliters, the OIV told Reuters. And I bet you're wondering this. I was. A hectoliter represents 100 liters, or the equivalent of just over 133 standard 75 centiliter wine bottles. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is news you can use for today, April 24th, 2018. Your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Trade smart, and have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Options News Rundown. To learn more about these stories or any other developments from the world of options, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for free options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in option trader education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's live Advantage group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider.
The preceding program was a production of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.